Welcome everyone to our 49er Lunch and Learn series for February. We are going to end our Niner Love Week with a session about loving ourselves and taking care of ourselves. I am thrilled to introduce the two speakers, presenters today, who are going to lead us in this work. They are Jenna Busam and Patricia McRhoads. They are coaches with the North Carolina New Teacher Support Program out of the Cato College of Education. And they, this is their work that they are, their expertise. And so ladies, I'm turning it over to you. Enjoy the session today.
All right, thank you, Misty. So if you wouldn't mind in the chat box, if you'll just put your name, your position, and then your favorite mindless activity while we get started, that'll just help us know who's in the room before we get started. But we're going to jump right in while you're doing that. The title of today's session, again, is Cultivating Emotional Resilience Through Self-Care. I am Patricia McRhoads, and I'll be presenting today with Jenna Busam. She is, I can't see her camera right now, but she's there somewhere.
Here, hello.
Yeah. We'll be bopping back and forth together today. As we move through the presentation, if you have any questions or anything you want to share with the group, feel free to use the chat box and we'll communicate that way. All right, so today, some of our session goals are to understand the meaning of resilience, to learn and practice strategies to promote mindfulness and self-care, and then to commit to at least one way you'll take care of yourself this year. All right. So this quote was from Amanda Gorman, actually just recently. She posted on Twitter, "Self-love is revolutionary. We cannot fight for others when we're fighting a war inside ourselves. Compassion is a power that we first bestow on ourselves and then give away through our actions to people, to our planet. When we recognize this, that is when love becomes our legacy." So I totally did not do that justice because you know she would have read it just so beautifully. And everything she writes just sounds like a poem in itself. But today we are going to talk about self-love, also self-compassion, taking it easy on ourselves. And we're going to spend most of the time talking about different strategies you can use on a daily basis to increase your resiliency. So when we talk about self-compassion, that's kind of like a buzzword we're hearing now. We're thinking about three parts. Put simply, self-compassion is taking a perspective that you would take towards a friend or a colleague who's facing the setback that you're facing, and then giving that same compassion to yourself. So one piece of this is self-kindness. So you might think, may I be kind to myself as I face this challenge? Or what would be kind to me right now? A lot of that self-talk that's happening. I was telling Jenna, sometimes when I'm driving and I take a wrong turn or something, which happens a lot because I just am not good with directions, I'll say, oh my gosh, it was so stupid. But I think to myself, if that was a friend of mine driving the car and they took a wrong turn, I would never call them stupid. I'd be like, it's no big deal, you just took a wrong turn. But we're just so hard on ourselves that self-compassion really is a skill we have to learn and practice. Another piece of this is common humanity. So just knowing that we aren't alone, that other people are facing the same challenges or similar challenges than that we are. And that connection can really help us along, finding people in similar situations. And with the use of the internet, that's very easy nowadays, finding people that are struggling with the same issues that you are. And then mindfulness. So thinking like, this is hard, but this is hard right now. Noticing when you start feeling tense and bringing yourself back to the present, not worrying so much about what's going on in the future, what's happened in the past. And we're going to practice some mindfulness activities today. So when times are tough and you're faced with hard decisions, it's easy to get like almost paralyzed by self-doubt and fear. But to move with clarity, leaders need self-compassion. And research shows that self-compassion increases your levels of emotional intelligence, resiliency, integrity. It makes you more compassionate towards other people. And all of those things improve your effectiveness as a leader. All right, so today's strategies come from the Onward workbook, or most of them do. This is Elena Aguilar's work, Cultivating Emotional Resilience for Educators. And she's got a book and a workbook there, just so you know where this came from. And then we're going to jump into an activity. So yeah, so if you would humor me, even if you're off camera, I'm going to trust that you're doing this. Hold up 10 fingers and you're going to listen to the prompts. Now for every item that I say that's true, you're going to put a finger down. Okay, you gotta be honest. Every item that's true, put your finger down. Okay, here we go. I have worked after 8 p.m. more than a few times this school year. Okay. I have worked from home even when I was sick as a dog. You know, I would be putting that one down. All right. I have skipped lunch on at least 2 occasions this year. I wish I could see all of you at once. Ooh, yeah, there we go. I have experienced Sunday anxiety on a regular basis, like that Sunday night. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, I saw you put your fingers down, so I know you know. I have experimented with at least 3 new tech tools this year. I have eaten more than a normal amount of chocolate in one night this school year. That would be me. I have gone prolonged periods of time without seeing my loved ones. I have begun work before 7 a.m. more than a few times this school year. No, I'm not a morning person, okay. I have eaten cereal for dinner at least once this month.
I haven't, but I kind of wish I have.
No judgment, no judgment. Captain Crunch is delicious. I regularly spend at least half the weekend working. Okay, so let's look. I mean, we don't have that many cameras on, but I can kind of see who has, oh my gosh, Amanda only has 1 finger up. We have some people, I see 3 fingers, 4. If I can't see your camera and you participated, put your number in the chat box for how many fingers you still have up. And so this competition really, if you don't have any fingers or 1 or 2 fingers up, it's really like a really not great winner, because that means that you've done a lot of things that I've listed, right? So that your stress levels might be a little bit elevated. Maybe you're not taking care of yourself. Look at these numbers. Oh, Megan, 3. Shame, shame. So it's not like you need to change all of these things in order to take care of yourself, but it is just kind of like a reality check. Like, wow, maybe I'm taking care of other people more than I'm taking care of myself. Maybe I need to take some time to take care of myself. So let's look at some activities that we can in small habits, small changes that make a big difference. Before we start, resilience pie. So really quickly, the activities today come from this 4-part conceptual framework around resilience and how it's developed. So it's based on who we are, like our genetics, but also how much work we've done to understand who we are, where we are, and context does matter. So where we're working, who we're around, our family situations, those where we are is hard to change sometimes, but it also plays a big part in our resilience. What we do, and so that's where we're going to spend a lot of our time today. What we do is our habits and our behaviors, where resiliency can be intentionally cultivated and built. And then how we are is a disposition. And Aguilar says it's a way of being, right? It's like a temperament or a character. It's an attitude. And a temperament is just based on habits that are repeated. They build your character. So changing habits can really change your character in the long run. And taking care of yourself is an important part of that building resilience, which can help you bounce back from the stress and trauma and of life's everyday challenges. Okay, speaking of challenges, Jenna, your turn.
Let's jump into another activity. So you can choose whatever method works best for you. Maybe you want to pull up a Google Doc, maybe you have a notebook nearby, maybe you want to jot on your phone, but we're going to do a jotting activity together, basically like a brain dump. So we're going to give you 2 minutes to list as many challenges as you can think of that you're currently facing at work. So you can list as many as you can. And I'll set a timer for 2 minutes. So go ahead and do some brainstorming. All right, so even if you didn't finish your list, that's okay. You should have at least a good start to it. I want you to look over that list and spend some time thinking to yourself whether you would categorize each challenge as big, medium, or small. And then you'll code your list with B for big, M for medium, and S for small. I'll give you about a minute to do this, but as you wrap up, even if it's before the minute mark, drop in the chat what you're noticing about your list. So you don't have to share specific challenges, but more about the patterns that you're seeing, especially as it comes to coding them. So go ahead and take a minute to code now. All right, so even if you haven't quite finished coding, if you're noticing any kind of patterns, you can drop them in the chat. I see here that Amy shared that all of her big challenges wouldn't even exist if COVID wasn't a thing. That's really interesting to note, and I think a lot of us can relate to that, that's brought on new and bigger challenges than in previous years. Any other patterns we're noticing? Yeah, I think that's a good point to bring up, Sharon, that a lot of the challenges, maybe even especially those ones labeled big, are out of our control. Amanda's seeing a pretty good mix of all three. Well, this is the part of the PD where Patricia will solve all of your challenges. So if you just want to like unmute, call them out, she's magic. She will solve all of them. I'll turn it over to her. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, we cannot fix all of your challenges. We can't even promise you that your list's not going to grow, right? That you aren't going to face other challenges by the end of the day or the end of the year. We wish we could. Of course, we wish we could. We get paid a lot more if we could do that too, I'm pretty sure. But what we can say is that today we're going to share some techniques that you can try that will help you change how you respond to these challenges. So just like it was brought up that we really don't have a lot of control over the actual challenge, we do find more control in how we respond to them. And Aguilar shares in her work something powerful. She says that the space between the event and the response is resilience. And so that's what we're kind of talking about, that, when you know how to handle any challenge that comes your way, whether it's big or medium or small, that's when you really are resilient and can't be stopped. So we're going to go through this next slide kind of quickly. I think you're aware already of the importance of mindfulness, or you probably wouldn't have shown up here today, but it is supported by research. And there's things that I think all of us would sign up for, right? Of course, we want lower levels of stress and burnout. Of course, we want greater efficacy in our jobs. And we want to have more emotionally supportive classrooms or to be more organized. And mindfulness can do that for us. And I think one of the things that maybe is addressed less often is the connection between mindfulness and the work that we do related to equity and minimizing bias. So I won't read it to you, but you can take a second to read this quote by Elena, because she says it really well and reminds us that this work for mindfulness is big and important, especially whenever we are focused on equity. So if you're ever starting to feel like self-compassion or mindfulness or self-care is selfish, I think it's a good reminder that this is part of a much bigger part of our work to uproot bias. All right, we're going to participate in a meditation. You are welcome to leave your cameras on. You are also welcome to turn your cameras off for this if you would like. I'll show you afterwards where you can access this meditation as well as others. But we invite you to join us in doing a loving kindness meditation.
Loving kindness meditation. Lie down or sit comfortably with your eyes closed or open. Say to yourself, may I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. Repeat these phrases to yourself slowly, bringing your attention to each one as you say it. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. Call to mind someone who has been kind to you. Picture that person, get a sense of them, and then say these phrases to them. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. Call to mind someone who is having a difficult time. Picture the person, get a sense of them, and then say these phrases to them. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. Call someone to mind whom you see fairly often, but don't know very well. someone about whom you have neutral feelings. Picture that person, get a sense of them, and then say these phrases to them. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. Call to mind someone you have trouble getting along with. Picture that person, get a sense of them, and then say these phrases to them. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. If you have a hard time sending that person loving kindness, then go back to sending loving kindness to yourself. In that moment, you're suffering and you deserve compassion. Finally, offer loving kindness to all beings everywhere, known and unknown. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings live with ease. During your day, when you notice yourself feeling distressed about something that's going on, see what happens if you repeat those phrases. Perhaps offering yourself loving kindness in a difficult moment, or offering those thoughts to others. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease.
Thank you so much for taking time to be vulnerable and join us in that, especially if it's something maybe that you are newer to. I'm going to drop in the chat the website here with all of her meditations. These are free. Of course, there are tons of great apps out there. Some are free if you're in education, others are paid and worth it. But these are a few that are free. So even if you wanted to bookmark this, they're all fairly short, under 5 minutes. They're things that you can maybe do, especially working from home, taking a break over lunch in between meetings. She has different themes. So you could do body scan and breathing meditation that are a little bit more generic. We all work for UNC Charlotte, so we don't have to have compassion for working with difficult people. That one you could skip for sure. And then there's a relaxation meditation. That one could be really helpful for at the end of the day whenever you're moving into finding that work-life balance and going back to life and not work. So that's in there for you as a resource. And the one we did, of course, is in there as well. Yes, thanks, Sharon. There are a lot of great guided meditations on Spotify. Thank you for sharing that. So we're going to hop into, oh, actually, no, sorry. If you wouldn't mind, I would be curious to hear in the chat either what you noticed about yourself and how you were feeling as you participated in the meditation, or who it was easiest or hardest to say these phrases to. So again, either what you noticed about how you were feeling or who was easiest or most difficult to say these phrases. Yeah, taking that pause to be mindful and meditate does help us feel more relaxed, and that can be really beneficial in the middle of a work day. Oh, that's so cool, Sharon. See, if you're a data person, now you've got data to support it. Apple Watch.
I always feel better after I participate in a guided meditation, but since it's not something I can check off my list, I tend not to save time to do it. And I know that's something I need to work on, like that taking care of myself is something I need to check off a list.
Yeah, like put it on your calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Well, great. Well, you can certainly share more reflections in the chat. We'd love to hear from you, but we also want to share another activity, engage in another activity together. So Patricia mentioned this a little bit when she was introducing the idea of self-compassion, but we're going to think about how you would treat a friend. So I want you to think about a time when a close friend felt bad about himself or herself, or was struggling in some kind of way, and how you responded to that friend. You can do this in a couple of different ways. You could either write this down like in a Google Doc or in a note on your phone. Also though, if you're eating or on the go, maybe you want to record a short voice memo on your phone. And I included here what the app looks like on iPhones and Androids if you do want to do a voice memo. So how you do it doesn't matter, but I want you to take about 2 minutes and consider how you have treated a friend when they were struggling in some kind of way. Sorry about that. Go ahead and start wrapping up your thoughts. All right, and even if you didn't finish, hopefully you have at least something started in general. Now, I want you to think about times when you have felt bad about yourself or when you've been struggling. And you might be thinking about one of the challenges you jotted down earlier, or maybe a different scenario. And think even just generally how you typically respond to yourself in these situations. And again, spend some time writing or recording a memo about how you treat yourself or talk to yourself or respond to yourself whenever you're struggling. Go ahead and start wrapping up your thoughts. All right, so we're going to compare how we respond to our own struggles and the tone that we use with ourselves with how we respond to a friend's. And often this comparison unearths some really surprising differences and valuable reflections. You find yourself thinking like, why am I so hard on myself? And more importantly, what would happen if I weren't so hard on myself? And I know Patricia shared her personal story about the taking a wrong turn driving, and I wanted to just share one that came up with me. I tried since learning about this strategy to start practicing it a little bit more. And I was telling Patricia this actually while we were planning for this PD, that day I was looking down at my daughter and she was still in her pajamas at 4 p.m. And they were Christmas pajamas, guys, on top of that, and it's February. So if you've gotten to the Christmas jams, you're at the bottom of the drawer. You've got a lot of laundry to do. And I just thought, like, I am a terrible mom. This baby is in Christmas pajamas at 4 p.m. from the night before in February. And like the mom guilt sets in. And I paused and thought to myself about this strategy that I had been reading about and thought, like, if my sister texted me and said that my nieces were in their pajamas at 4 p.m., I'd probably write back, I'm so jealous. Or sounds cozy, right? If anyone else in my life thought they were a bad parent because of something like that, I would think it was silly and absurd. But for whatever reason, I was using it as a point to judge my own self. So take a minute to think and notice, like, what differences are there between how you would talk to a friend and how you talk to yourself, and what factors you think lead you to treat yourself differently than how you treat others. So give me just a minute to think about that, to jot or to record. Take a few more seconds to wrap up your thoughts. All right, and as we wrap up this section, I want you to consider how you think things might change if you responded to your suffering in the same way that you typically respond to a close friend. So you certainly don't need to share specifics or anything like that. But if you wouldn't mind either dropping in the chat or unmuting, we'd love to hear some of your reflections on how you think things might change if you responded to your suffering in the same way as a close friend. Yeah, absolutely. You wouldn't feel as bad. Wouldn't be expecting yourself to be superhuman. So much more grace. Absolutely. Thank you. Exactly, Misty. It's really incredible, the difference of how we would treat a friend versus ourselves. So the very last thing we want you to do is to jot down, either in your notes or in your memo, what you want to say to yourself next time. So the next time you're struggling with something, what do you want to say to yourself? This is something that you could even read or play back for yourself in that moment when it's a little bit harder to actually treat yourself like a friend. So I'll just give you a minute to jot something down real quickly. Thank you so much for taking time to reflect with us about treating ourselves more like we treat our friends. That last prompt there, maybe keep that somewhere safe to reference in a moment where it's a little bit difficult, but you do want to practice reframing the type of language that you use with yourself. If you didn't see it, I think Amy makes a good point that if a friend really did talk to us the way that we talk to ourselves, they really wouldn't be a friend for very much longer at all. So it's a good challenge to start speaking to ourselves as kindly as we do others.
All right, so we are going to move on to another strategy you can use, and this is called the not right now shelf. So we all have thoughts that creep into our heads that try to take us away from our work, from our focus, and they almost like sneak up on us when we're planning for something, or we're in the middle of our work, or even when we're in the middle of a conversation. They can distract us. They can make us feel more irritated, angry, or they can make us feel insecure and anxious when they come into our heads. So wouldn't it be nice if we could just push these thoughts out and just focus on the task at hand? And Aguilar gives this strategy as a simple way of dealing with these types of thoughts. We're going to tell them, not right now, and place them like on a mental shelf. And it lets those thoughts know that you're not ignoring them, you're not repressing them. Those thoughts have value, but every thought doesn't need attention as soon as we think them. Every feeling doesn't need attention as soon as we feel them. So you could put them on this mental shelf, knowing that you can go back to them later if they're important. If not, then they can just get wiped off the shelf. This is especially true when we're working from home and there's a lot of distractions around us physically. So those thoughts are more likely going to sneak into your head. When they do, the strategy is you can jot them down on a shelf, like actually draw out a shelf and jot them down so that you can think about them later. You can just make a list if you want to and title it Not Right Now. And then if you want to go back to those thoughts, you can, you have them written down. If not, then you cross them off and you continue on with your day, but it doesn't interrupt your focus. So here's an example of my Not Right Now shelf. And it's, I don't know if you can see, but it's kind of hard for me to see that. But what you would see on my Not Right Now shelf is a lot of like self-doubting questions about the past. I'll think about conversations that I had weeks, months, years ago. And I'll think like, oh gosh, why did I say that? Like, is this person like harboring these feelings about me? Do I need to apologize for this? Are they still holding this? How did I look when I said that? Or maybe they're thinking I'm not knowledgeable about this certain topic, or I didn't say this exactly right, or hurt someone's feelings. Like all these thoughts kind of like bombard my brain. Even like your cell phone can be your worst enemy when you're trying to focus, right? Like sometimes I'm like, okay, I have to reply to everyone as soon as they message me because they're like wanting me, they're wanting my attention, but they don't need that. Not right now, right? Like I'm focused on this task and everything else can wait. So I could put that on my Not Right Now shelf. We're going to put a link in the chat that is a blank Not Right Now shelf. So you're welcome to use the electronic version, or you can use just a blank notebook paper or Google Doc or whatever as your not right now shelf. And what I'd like you to do just for a minute is to like think about what kind of thoughts enter your mind when you're trying to focus. You may have even, when I've been talking, they may have even been trying to enter your brain during this time or during this PD. And just try it out. Like try to make a list of a couple things that you know you might want to think about later, or you're worried about. Jot them down on your not right now shelf and just see how it feels. So we'll take a few minutes of just quiet reflection time. Okay, so hopefully you had a chance just to, and you didn't finish, but maybe you got a start just jotting a few things down for how this felt. And it's not something you can just kind of sit and do, but when you're doing other things, you'll notice the thoughts are entering your brain, worrying thoughts. I'll think about like, right now I'm quarantining, so my child is home with me. I'll think about like how long until she's back in a daycare. I'm like, how am I gonna do this? What am I gonna do? And it'll take me away from like my present moment. Jotting it down on a not right now shelf can help. I could think about it later, make a plan later, but right now, like I have work to do. And then later you might look back and say, like that's not worth worrying about. Like I don't even need to think about that because I'm just gonna take it day by day. And you may find that a lot of those thoughts just aren't worth your time. All right, so that is the not right now shelf. And then we're gonna move straight into another strategy called 3 good things. Have you ever like been car shopping? And I don't know a lot about cars. So if I go car shopping and I like test drive a car, let's say I test drive like a SUV, all of a sudden after that, the day after, I'll see that same SUV like everywhere. I'll see it everywhere I go. Like everyone has that car. I've never noticed it before, but because I test drove it, like now I'm seeing it because it's like in the forefront of my brain. So good things are like that. When you start noticing good things, you see good things everywhere. And the opposite is true too. If you are kind of focused on the negative, you'll see problems everywhere, but it's definitely a frame of mind. So 3 good things is a strategy of ending your day with just a few minutes of writing down all the things that went well that day. And then why they happened. So you're like taking responsibility for some of the positive things that happened too. And they don't have to be, groundbreaking, huge things that happened. Like some positive things. Like I found the movie Ratatouille. My child loves it and has watched it on repeat probably 5 times today so I could get some work done. So that's like a good thing for me. I found Ratatouille. Why did this happen? Because I listened to my child, because I have to focus, because, a lot of reasons. So what I'd like you to do is just take a minute and think about a couple of good things that have happened either today or this week. Think about why they happened. And then once you brainstormed for a minute, you're going to go to this Padlet link. And if you feel comfortable sharing out at least one good thing that has happened to you. All right, we have a lot of good things going on. We have tacos. It's not even Tuesday. We have tacos. A lot of comments about family. And then I think, you know, I see one comment that has the why part of that. Like, I prepared. That's why it went well for me this week. I think sometimes in society, we see people who are self-deprecating as like charming to put yourself down. But that has an effect on you. And building yourself up is okay and normal, and it's a good way to take care of yourself. So you can say, like, I really did a great job on that PD because I prepared really well for it. And saying that doesn't make you a bad person. Right? Like, you would say that to your friend, you should say that to yourself too. Take responsibility for those good things. All right, awesome.
All right, so we want you to engage in one more activity where you start thinking about how you might commit to taking care of yourself. So like we've mentioned over and over, self-care is not selfish. It's necessary. When you think about, I don't know if you remember when we used to travel and like go on planes, maybe you remember these days, but you would get an oxygen mask, right? And they would always encourage you that you put it on yourself first, even before your children or any of the people around you. And that's kind of how self-care works too. You have to take care of yourself or you will not have the energy or the ability to care for others and to do important work. So sometimes that means literally scheduling it, putting it on your calendar, prioritizing it just as strongly as you do other meetings, or setting a reminder on your phone. Especially if you were one of the people doing work before 7 a.m. and after 8 p.m., maybe you need to block off some of those chunks for self-care and ways that you might take care of yourself. So that we can avoid burnout. So let's take a minute to think about the ideas that you'd like to do to take care of yourself, or maybe those that you already do. We're gonna join a Dotstorm. The link is in the chat. And when you join that, you'll be able to put your name in a box and click join in order to participate. And when you do that, you can like other people's ideas. You can also add your own. So we'd love to hear what kinds of things you are going to do or are already doing to take care of yourself, as well as maybe get some ideas from you as well. Just in case it's helpful, I will show you. Over here is where you'll be able to put your name to join. It looks like you guys are figuring that out. I remember at the beginning too, we asked you guys some of your mindless activities. Those are ones that you can add on here, but I remember several included pets, so I'm not surprised to see that one getting some votes here. Taking that moment to breathe. TV was another mindless activity that showed up a good bit, so I could see that getting some votes here. I see on here the coloring book. I remember reading that in the chat too. That's a good mindless activity. I haven't done that for a while, but I've seen that done in some of the classrooms that I work in. Yes, we're all ready for the sun so that we can sit in the sun for 10 minutes. Doesn't that sound so good? If there are any that you would add to the list to suggest, you can certainly add that or drop them in the chat. And then I want to challenge you right now, if we have a couple extra minutes, to pick something to commit to and put it on your calendar. Time for it this weekend, time for it maybe in one of the evenings next week, but take the 30 seconds to add it to your calendar as a reminder of what you're going to do to take care of yourself this weekend and this upcoming week.
No one is waking up at dawn to see the sunrise, Jenna.
Yeah, that would not be good self-care for me.
Me neither.
As you're thinking about what you might put in your calendar, maybe you want to make time for one of the meditations that we shared with you earlier, even during a lunch. Maybe you want to put that you're going to spend the last 5 minutes of your workday to jot down 3 good things. All right, so hopefully you've taken a moment to do that, get some ideas and commit to an idea. We are so excited that you took the time for yourself today during lunch to really think about how you can cultivate emotional resilience through the self-care, through building the self-compassion. We are excited to be here with you today. Here's our contact information, as well as how you can follow our team on social media.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Patricia and Jenna, for being with us today, and way to end our Niner Love Week on a high note by thinking about how to take better care of ourselves. So we certainly appreciate you being with us today. Take care, everyone. Be safe and be well. And go Niners.